All right, Alec, welcome to the Survivor Cook Islands season finale.
The finale. I know, it's crazy. Here we are, after at long last.
A topsy-turvy road.
Weird. It definitely has been.
What are your thoughts on the season going into the finale? Who you rooting for? Who you think's got it? And what's going on?
Well, here's the thing. I think, I think overall this has been a really good season. I think early on it was a lot stronger than it is now. I think, like it's just been sort of rote the last maybe couple of weeks. But we had some really good build up into the merge and through even through the merge, I would say. But the last couple of weeks have been a little, like a little just like to be expected, I guess. And yeah, so. But overall, it's been a really interesting, really good season. It's interesting to think that it's really sort of kind of changed a little bit in terms of its general tone. Like they really were emphasizing like the sort of ethnic race sort of stuff is going to come into play, and it has and hasn't really so much. But it's still a really cool concept. I think it's yeah, I would say overall the season has been pretty good. I would be rooting. Who am I rooting for? I mean, I think it would be exciting if Yule takes it all the way. But Ozzy's been a dominant force. Especially, it would make sense, especially with Yule with the idol. But that idol's going to stop being useful here pretty shortly, and so in effect, it might be interesting to see Ozzy, who's been sort of a silent but deadly, kind of like forced to be reckoned with. He's just dominating most of the challenges. So that's been kind of interesting and fun. I think he would be a good someone good to sort of root for. That's so. I guess those two, I guess, are kind of what I'm.
Hey, who would you put
I'm
your
on,
money
I'm on
on
those.
now if you had to?
Put my money on now if I had to. Boy, it would probably be. I had to put money on. That's the rough part. Is there's no predict. You can't predict anything that's going to happen here at all. You
Yeah.
cannot, because of like for crying out loud, Sundra could end up winning. We've seen stuff like that happen in this game, or Becky wins. You know, it's like, where did that come from? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense, but that happens. So it's hard to predict. My money would go probably Aussie, but I mean, honestly, I could see Adam or Yule coming and winning as well.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, if you're new to the channel, should have said this from the start,
yeah.
but I've been taking Alec from the beginning through Survivor. I'm a big fan of Survivor, and Alec's now seeing it for the first time chronologically. So he sees all the seasons before Cook Islands, and none of them to come. So we're going in order. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna watch the finale, and you'll always have a link in the description for the highlights of a reaction, where you can go and see a cut-up version of us watching the episode. For the finale, it'll be a little bit longer than usual, and then shortly after we'll have the reunion, and then the week following we'll have a big in-depth season review. I wouldn't be surprised if it's our biggest one yet. We've already got a lot of good questions and things I wanted to go over already going into it, so
That'll be
it's gonna
good.
be good.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to talk about this season, I think. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
But yeah, click the link in the
Stuff.
description to see the highlights of a reaction. Come back afterwards for the discussion, all right?
All right, see you then.
There you have it. Yule's the winner of Survivor Cook Islands. Yule's our winner. How you
He
feel?
is. Yeah. Wow. How about that? How about that?
In a 5-4 vote.
Interesting having final three. I don't know if it necessarily all that great of an idea when it comes
Right.
down to it, because it did sort of like it kind of made the idea, like, I think in concept it's really interesting. The only problem with it is that having the immunity idol in play, like the hidden idol, and then having that still be used within the final four
Yeah, it's
kind
really
of
not
makes the
cool.
whole it.
Like you gotta
Yeah,
tell
it
them in
just
advance if you're gonna do something like that. When it's literally like, I don't know that they did have any plans, but like they could have had plans. Like we're gonna take him out at final four
yeah
or at final three is their last chance to do so, and then it's like, oh, surprise, you can't. You're just not even an option. He's guaranteed the
yeah
end already.
yeah
And then this like immunity challenge you're about to do, or that you just did. Um, oh, they told him before, right? Before the
they
challenge.
did yes
It was
yeah
like this
they told him
immunity
before that
challenge you're about to do is just basically extra credit for Yule. If he gets this one, he gets to take another person with
yeah
him, and then
well yeah they because they in the tree mail they were like, this is your final immunity challenge, and they were like, well, what does that mean exactly?
yeah.
So yeah
But I think the concept is that they wanted to avoid like Ozzy loses the final immunity, and then it's Yule and Becky final two. Like I guess that's what they're trying to avoid because then it's like no drama there.
yeah did they the question though is, did they um yeah. Do you think this was a decision that was made a long time ago? Because it might have been. It might have been made a really long time ago. But or do you think this was sort of made maybe towards the end of seeing
Um,
how it was going?
I think it was decided a long time ago. This is
Yeah.
the only twist where you can, I think, pretty confidently say that because of the jury being extended.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it
I think
ended up
so.
not.
That's my
We thought it was a 10-person jury, but it was actually a 9-person jury, and they just extended
right.
the other way.
Right. And the thing about this though too is that the immunity idol, the hidden idol rather, was open a lot earlier in the game than it was in
Mm-hmm.
in previous things too. So like that already kind of throws a wrench a little bit in it too, because everyone knows that he has the hidden idol. It gives him a position of power throughout everything.
Mm-hmm.
So having it out in the open, because they're like, well, are we going to waste our vote on Yule and maybe have it bounce
Yeah.
back on one of us? Like that's kind of the I think it was like a brilliant move that he made it open, that he had it as early as he did. So
Yeah, I mean that's one of the bigger criticisms of the season and of like Yule as the winner is that like he like this idol really helped him, and it's almost
yeah,
like made it very hard for the other players to do anything at a certain point, and then plus having the twist like the taking two people out, one tribal council randomly, and then having
yeah,
the last second, oh, there is a final three, so he's already guaranteed. It's like these little things where it's like, yeah, if you look at it, super solid game, like very clean and like weirdly little resistance when he's like in the underdog spot, like this underdog story.
yeah.
So I mean that's one of the bigger criticisms of the season, I think, and one of my bigger criticisms is like what we were talking about before, where it's like, all right, now it's time for them to turn on each other. They made it to the final four,
And they just didn't. And they just didn't.
and they didn't because Yule was already guaranteed the end with the idol. Ozzy was guaranteed the end with immunity, and then they were just like, let's do the tiebreaker, and then
It's only fair.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
usually you would have had two opportunities to turn on each other here,
Yeah,
and they didn't
but
get that.
nothing. Didn't get that at all.
So it's
So
weird where an underdog story was kind of like became rote by the end. That's what we were saying about the past couple episodes, where it's like once they did the flip, there's a couple episodes where there was the mutiny, the message in a bottle, and the merge. Like those were super spicy and it was
yeah,
great. And then after that, once the flip happened, it was like, okay, just one by one.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like there were a lot of twists and turns in the season. It's like I was a little too. It felt like maybe too much. I mean, we already had the whole gimmick of the season being not really a twist, but just having that be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just having so many twists felt like it was every week. It was like a twist after twist, and like maybe spreading those out maybe a little bit more would have been more ideal. Maybe keeping the message in a bottle until later. But I hate that in general. That's my biggest criticism. I think the bottle thing is they never do that again. I never want to see that ever again. I think that's
And it's one of
super
the
underhanded.
one of the shadier twists too, where they like
Yeah.
we can't even verify where they're gonna do a different bottle if the other tribe lost. Like I
Yeah.
don't like that aspect of it either, where it's like you got to
Yeah.
question what production is doing there. But
Yeah.
all right, but we'll go into all of that in more detail when we do the season review and plenty
Yeah.
more. But let's talk about some
Overall,
of
really.
the finale itself.
Yeah.
Adam, even in the last ditch attempt to, like, in his own words, he's like, "This is boring," and you
Yeah.
two
I
are
spice
boring.
things up.
And then at the end, he was like, "You guys are all boring in these tribal councils."
Yeah.
So he was like, "Let me try
Zero
stirring it
boring.
up. You guys want to vote
He
with
wanted.
me and get this idol out of here at least."
It's like, hey, look, I get it. Spice is fun and interesting and exciting, but you're talking about like the tightest. I think this is like the tightest tribe we've ever had, like easily. Like
Right.
this goes back to like freaking Outback, like how tight everyone was towards the end of Outback. This to me is like even tighter than that because they were the complete underdogs. They were the tribe of four, right?
Right.
So it's like they are not gonna. It's gonna be extremely hard for you to get them to turn on each other. It's just really difficult. Like even trying to get them to say bad things about each other, all Ozzy could really muster is like, Yule didn't work as hard as he could. Becky was pathetic in that final tribal, which or that
that's another
final
thing too.
tiebreaker. That was embarrassing. Like that was really embarrassing.
Yeah, and
But
it's like even the drama of that was just turned into, wow, what a miserable performance. And these two people
yeah,
who are already, admittedly, Adam's kind of right in that they were boring in terms of being like part of this four-person alliance is going to go all the way to the end. It's like really been the
yeah,
Yule and Ozzy show, and they've just
yeah,
seemingly been along for the ride. But obviously,
right.
Becky was part of the strategy with Yule and everything.
From the
But
very beginning, though, that's the thing
yeah,
with her. She was involved very early on with him. So
but they were kind of giving us nothing in the entertainment
yeah,
factor.
yeah, that was kind of the problem with the finale that I sort of had with that. I mean, there was bits and pieces that were fun.
And it
I think
seemed
the challenge, the challenge, the puzzle one, I think that was really cool.
hmm.
Balance beam was also really interesting, but like basically everything kind of after that was sort of like just rote. Kind of you kind of expect what comes next.
It seemed like Becky and Sandra were purely not self-interested enough for this end game.
Yeah,
Like
they talked a while back, like a couple episodes ago, about trying to do that, like
maybe
but maybe trying to do something in that regard, but
right, like the only
then they never ended
talks
up
of
doing
turning
it.
on each other. That's another thing. The only talks of turning on each other was maybe we'll get Ozzy, and then we never even got
Yeah,
that opportunity.
yeah,
So
they
that
never got
was
that
out.
because Ozzy was too dominant.
But
Yeah,
Yule was never a question like, should we do something about Yule? Even this idol, they didn't care that Yule was just going to slide to final three. Like, it seemed like they were always playing for this third place position almost, or maybe second, like at best, if Ozzy would drop the
yeah,
challenge. So that's where it's kind of like, they didn't have that fire, and
yeah.
ironically could not start that fire.
That was
Uh,
that was awful. It was embarrassing.
and it's like, yeah, this whole thing of like Yule said, "I'll give you the idol if you want," which would guarantee her to go to the end. But she's like, "No, I want to earn it." But then, of course, she had to earn it in like the most embarrassing way possible. So it's not even like you're getting any credit for doing that. So it's just really
It
like
was
she was going in with a losing game from the jump, like getting to that final tribal.
the fact that it took them over an hour to not make any fire with the flint. Unbelievable.
Yep,
I
and
just
just like
can't because
another half
they
hour
were
to with after
they were like
matches too.
after with matches. But they were like doing this, and it was like you're not even close. You're not even close to the coconut husk. I know you need some space to get that spark,
They
but
were
you're
not
never gonna set it on fire when you're not even close to it.
they
Like
were not
you
prepared for
see
this
them, like
whatsoever. Like
no,
at least
apparently not.
they didn't even prep for this like leading up
Yeah,
to the vote, knowing it was gonna be a tie. Um,
yeah. It's just like it brings
the precedent
back
so
ideas
far has
like
been like fire making.
Sari. Remember Sari practicing her fire making?
Yeah,
Like it
that's
was
the thing. I can't remember if at this point the schedule if they had seen the end of Panama or not. But
possibly not.
still, the
Didn't you say there
precedent
was
is
one that
fire
they
making.
took a break? I thought you said between this one and the last one there was like a full year, which didn't normally happen, or something like that.
I can't remember honestly.
I can't.
I'll look at when we do
Obviously,
the
I can't.
review.
I don't look. Obviously, I don't look this stuff up. I've been sworn to secrecy,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd have no idea. But
I'll look it up for the review. See if there was a gap, if they saw the episodes airing or Panama, if they saw it at all or not. But still, the precedent has always been like fire making is the tiebreaker. I feel like at a certain point, maybe.
yeah,
I don't know.
that's what it's been for a while.
Still, I mean, you know that that's always a possibility. There've been fire making challenges in general. You should come in with that ability, like preloaded in. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's like final three, and they took the wind out of the sails on that twist by being like everyone treating it as a final two. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. She didn't get a single vote, not even a pity vote. So.
Yeah, I mean, what you gonna do? It's like maybe there's something to people attributing more to the guy of the dynamic. He's more the face, but it's like even if you look at it, they were part of every strategic decision together. They had all like she's not even setting herself above in terms of strategy, so they're all even. And then Yule has the idol, which literally put them in that pivotal position. So it's like even on paper, you got to give it to him over that, and then you don't.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ozzy's the other side of the coin. So she was always just gonna be sitting in the middle.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing though too, is that a lot of times this Survivor often plays out that way, where it comes down to the person that you've brought along with you. At least they're in the final 4 or 3, right? So it's like it almost made sense that like with a final 3 vote, that's one of those people would be there. You'd think, but
right. Now I get what they're in theory what they're trying to accomplish with the final 3 is that if it was Yule and Becky in the end, that's a lot less interesting. Final 2,
right? Yeah.
And like if you took it back to like Panama, maybe it would have been more interesting if Terry was in the mix versus Aris and Danielle just being the final 2.
Yeah, but here's also an interesting thing too, though, is that this also gives the opportunity for more diversity in the final, in the last 3 castaways, right? So you have more chance, more opportunity. I mean, granted, there's 2 Asian Americans here, but by having 3, the odds for having, I'd say the odds are more for having like a more diverse final, right? The chances of you having
they specifically did that for this theme, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, like, because they're thinking, well, if we have more than that, maybe 2 of the same people will, the same ethnic groups will be there, but like, we want to try to have maybe more diverse.
Jesus.
I'm knocking stuff over. That was my old mic stand.
Oh.
I'm just knocking things over. I accidentally like grabbed a hold of it as I'm waving my hands around like an Italian. The stereotyping people groups. Here we go. So we maybe just giving it more of an opportunity for something like that to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that was necessarily in their minds, but like that's just an idea that I had. Could possibly be why they did something like that. So
look, we'll break it all down in the review. There's a lot of like, even after all the twists we named, I forgot the fact that they also surprised them with surprise. Brad is on the jury. Like they do these little random like, oh, surprise, this is happening now. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like okay then.
I just cursed off Brad and told him I'll never talk to him again. Thanks for that. All these things and if we're talking purely fairness of a game would have been nice to know in advance.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that happened this season, which is very weird, especially for a season that I think was like on paper is awesome, but there's just like all those weird things that happen strategically that I think obviously we're not reviewing it all entirely yet, but I think in my mind it keeps it from being among the greatest simply for the fact that they did all those twists.
Yeah,
that just kind of just shook it up for like no reason at all.
I think so too.
But,
like entertainment value. Also, like we were saying, the past few episodes kind of like did actually get fairly boring in terms of the trajectory. Even if it was like this underdog story, it was like the slowest underdog story like waiting for it to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
And then
and
the
then
way
and
it
then
did, not being able to have the drama of them turning on each
yeah,
other and all these other
yeah,
things.
yeah.
But
So
there's also a lot to love about it that it will go into for sure.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, overall, pleasing outcome. I mean, I like
Look,
the
I
fact
love
that
you.
I would have been the same. I think I would have been pleased if Ozzy won too. Honestly, I feel like they both were just. It
Hmm.
was they were both. I think what Ozzy said. I was the Yule of my tribe. Really, it was kind of
Yeah, but when
maybe
you're
a silly
calling
way to put
yourself
it.
the Yule of your tribe,
The
then
Yule of your
okay,
tribe.
take a seat.
It's like okay, so Yule. Yeah, all right. So I'm voting
Like,
for Yule then. Sit down. Yeah, but I think to a point, like he was, and then he was kind of in the on the rocks, but then he just sort of slowly and quietly and calmly made his way back into everything through the challenges and just by being allied with that I2 tribe.
because I
So
was kind of thinking subconsciously, like, I guess Becky ultimately turned it down, but if I was Yule, I would not want to do that, and kind of secretly hope Becky gets voted out, so she's a vote for me in the jury.
yeah,
It literally came down to one vote difference. Imagine that, biting him in the butt, and then like Becky just took up a spot in the final when she could have been voting for you. Oh,
yeah, really,
yeah,
yeah, for real.
but yeah, Yule. I was definitely rooting for Yule for sure. Like,
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, it's just when you play such a strategic game in the way that he did, like it's very just fascinating the whole trajectory of how he did everything. But like even in this episode, like I love how he responded to the question of like, "Are you playing the jury?" Like, yeah. I mean, I did like how he still was trying to put a caveat on it, and she was like, "Ah, you're breaking the
yeah,
rule.
he's
I
so
might not vote for you
perfectly
now."
politically correct with every
Yeah,
response. Yeah.
but it's to me, it's like he's fully admitting though, like, yeah, I did like manipulate people, but I also made the biggest impact on the game by what I did and how I did it. So
Yeah, and he didn't
it's
even
like,
do
in
that
yeah,
much. Like he said, he was good at manipulating, but he didn't do that much underhanded
he
stuff. I feel
he
like.
didn't. Well, to me, the manipulation came down to showing off the fact that he had the
Yeah.
the idol. That to me, that's a manipulation
Well,
of the game.
that's
That is,
swagginess. I thought.
I mean, it is. It's. I mean, it's pretty Chad. I mean, it's a pretty. You know,
Chad.
it's pretty alpha sigma
Yeah.
of him to do so.
That's
But like,
alpha.
it was.
Big dog them. But
He's just yeah. He didn't rub dog him though.
but oh, Nate dog. He didn't Nate dog him
Yeah,
either.
Nate dog. He didn't Nate dog him. Yeah, he didn't gaslight or be like, or just
But
come and
look,
be like, man, I don't know.
he
She said something about he said something about soup. So
yeah.
he's gonna
But look, he is that guy. He's the one who got his tribe there. Like, yeah,
yeah
Ozzy was great in challenges, but he wouldn't have been there. He would like
yeah
the tribe was about to be
you'll
decimated if he
yeah
didn't flip Jonathan over, which wouldn't
yeah
happen without the idol. But again,
he's
that's
pretty great.
also a random bit of luck that he even got to go to Exile Island to
Yeah
get the idol when he did.
yeah
It's kind of crazy how luck plays in a Survivor like that. Like it literally
yeah
was like when Ozzy's and Billy's tribe when they had thrown that challenge to get Billy out, they then got to
hmm
choose to send Yule. So
yeah.
it was all just like it happened. They got to get the choice, and they happened to pick Yule because he looked the strongest on the tribe,
You're
and he
right.
got in there like early enough to get the idol, and then he used it well. But it's like a
Mm,
lot of things had to happen. So I
yeah,
know.
for sure.
All right, well, we will. The next up on the docket is the reunion, but we'll also be doing a season review very soon. It'll be very in depth and a lot of fun to break down. We'll be ranking the season, ranking the winner, giving out some awards. It'll be a jolly time.
I did also want to point out something that was funny also at this last episode is how they made very clear in the rules that these posts have been
Mhm.
modeled to your foot size
Yes.
specifically. And it's like, oh, okay. I
They
get
did
what we're
not.
doing here.
Weirdly, they didn't mention that in Panama that these circles were weighted appropriately to your the final immunity. But yeah, all right. Well, Thank you for
Well,
watching. If you want more Survivor from us, go to zacharcher.net/survivor. You have all the seasons we've covered on there. And, soon enough, we'll be moving on to the next one in just a couple weeks. All right, we're going to keep it moving. In the meantime,
all right.
Alec, what video would you recommend our viewers watch next?
Go watch the finale of Survivor Panama. Go check that out. Watch our reaction to that. Yeah.
Where
You just mentioned
unfortunately,
it.
Sari fell victim to the fire.
Yeah, it was
So-
pretty rough. Pretty rough.
Pretty
But
rough. But
pretty-
fun time. That was a fun season. I love how Jeff says this every season. It's like, this is the entertaining season we've had in a long time. Like,
It's like, what are you
disrespecting the
talking
last,
about?
like, literally the last season was on par with this one, like, just as entertaining. But let's just say that every time, like, man, this season blows all the other ones out of the water. What were we even doing last year? All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed, like the video, hit the notification bell, and click the links in the description for our social media. All right now.